This is Netflix on the 5-minute time frame. I'm going to give you price targets for Friday. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. Congratulations if you've made some money off of Netflix today. We ended the day at $401.77, up a whopping 16%. The day's low, $392.26. The day's high, $408.95. This is where we are. To the north side takes us to 2 standard deviations and resistance at 421.52. Above that at 3 standard deviations, 437.90. And at 4 standard deviations, that would take us to roughly $453.53. To the south side, a gap forms at 392.81. The middle of the trend and support takes us to roughly 388.75. Below that, at -2 standard deviations, 356.17. That gap closes out at 346.66. -3 standard deviations and another level of support is 340.17, and below that 324.72. If we hit these lines down here, I will anticipate a bounce as people buy the dip. Now, a few days ago, actually about 6 days ago, Murat mentioned to me in the comments that he sees Netflix going down to 340-ish and then bouncing to the upside on earnings. And that's exactly what happened right here. We met earnings and revenue, so that was incredible. And in terms of the news, here the stock rallied more than 16% to put it on track for its biggest one-day percentage move since January 20th, 2021, after better than expected third quarter earnings. The company's clampdown on password sharing led to 8.8 million net new additions in the quarter, marking the highest ever number for a third quarter according to JP Morgan. So, fantastic there. And Murat mentioned that back on the 12th, he thought that the buy zone was roughly in the 340s and a sell zone in the 470s. And again, go to my comment section and you'll see price targets and other TA on different stocks and ETFs. So 340 is roughly down here. So we didn't quite go that low, but it was close enough. And now, because the stock ran, that created a gap up, and then the gap should fill on the way down. So I do anticipate price to fall back down, get back to earth, because no stock will run for days and days without taking a break. But this is Murat's sell zone here in the roughly 470s. And I talked about this gap previously, and it has not filled yet, so I'm going to continue to extend that. It closes out at roughly 477.14, the top side of that, give or take. All right, I'm going to move this over now, but we're getting close. But again, I expect Netflix to take a little bit of a breather, especially if it bounces up here and here and here. It will try to close the gap, but I think this gap will take a few days to get it filled. The RSI right now on the 5-minute time frame is at 46. On the monthly, it's going up at 52 and 52 on the weekly, and on the daily going straight up at 58. If we hit this zone here, I will anticipate also a pull back. So check the chart at the down below at the RSI, the MACD, and then here as well. So buying levels, I like to go at -2, -3, or -4. And then also down here at 30 and below is typically, or 40 and below is where I like to really dive in. All right, that is a look at Netflix here on the daily as well. I've mapped this out so many times, but we are right here to the north side, and that just takes us basically to the middle of the trend and resistance, and that is roughly 439, and to the south side on the daily, that's 377. Now I'm going to flip this back to the 5-minute time frame. And I'm going to go to XOM. I just talked about this, but there's a reason I want to recap this one really quickly. We are now at 113.02. The day's low, 111.33, and the day's high, 113.97. So back to the middle of the trend on the 5-minute time frame takes us to 113.83 and 114.83, roughly 115.38, and at 4 standard deviations where we would definitely see a pullback, 115.88, and to the south side at -2 standard deviations, very close to this line and support, 112.78, 112.27, and 111.76. When I talked about this yesterday, I also mentioned a gap down here that closes out at 111.37, and we closed out today. I'm going to mark out right here. That's where the day started. Oh, my timer's going off. Dinner is ready. I'm making ribs tonight. I'm so excited. And I'm giving some to my neighbor as well. She spoils me, so I am baking some ribs for her and giving her some mac and cheese too, and her kids. All right, this is done. I'm going to remove that. So we closed out this gap at 113.37. And there's another gap to the downside, and we are not in that zone yet. That takes us to 106.52. The RSI is at 48. And that is a look at XOM and Netflix. Again, thank you to Marat for pointing out Netflix. And if there is a stock or an ETF that you would like me to go over, please let me know.